Welcome back to the Pit Stop Ranch, where we will spend twice as much of money and 3 times as much time on reviving old junk than it would have cost us just to have bought a nice example to begin with. Today, we're going to go ahead and go through how we took garbage and made it an engine block, a usable, buildable engine block. And the pistons we got, the whole stroker kit, the nice good forged parts. Now we're not going to actually go through the assembly of this engine, but just kind of run through the backstory. We've already briefly touched upon in bits and bobs. I did a episode where we talked about removing the valves from an 8BA, and this is the engine that we used. This particular engine is, and then also this is one of the engines I talked about where we picked up and Matt goes to buy an engine. Anyways, let's get started, and hope you enjoyed the story.
Okay, this is the condition of the engine when we first got it, and we were busy assessing the condition of it, and we were trying to see if we could get it to turn, and we're completely unsuccessful. It was locked solid. So here is us trying a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so what this is this is shocking it. We're not actually trying to get them to move. We're trying to just get break them free, at least break the rings free. We also went through and tapped the top of the valves. Do the same thing because they're undoubtedly all stuck. And this also helps, the vibrations help the penetrating fluid get in.
Now all of this was filmed over a few months, and at this point here we'd been soaking it and doing a bunch of stuff, and quite honestly losing our patience. We pulled out the crank already, and we'd knocked most of the pistons out, and this is the last one that was done. And we finally knocked it out. You can see we broke the skirt. I mean, we just obliterated it, and it was just horrible looking, just completely goobered up. Here's what the cylinder looked like. You can see how chewed it is, and you also see all the pitting around the piston there from water damage. Section is me unsticking or removing a valve, going through the process. I have a whole video on pulling the valve out, and you can I will include a tag to go to that portion of it.
Because it broke loose, a little cocked in there. Pull the valve out. Then pound the valve guide out. All right, now that we got, excuse me. Okay, now that we have the all the valves out, next step, someone went through and marked where. Let's see if you get in there. Where the, I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, where the cracks are, where they found cracks. And got here, here, and here. So it is our understanding that Ford overdid the metallurgy on this stuff, and it's actually for cast iron very weldable. So our plan is to gouge it out and then fill it in with weld.
Gouging out where the cracks are, the first step is to heat up the area of the cast iron so it takes the high nickel stainless steel rod. Now this is the first one. It was the least critical one, so it was the crack that I felt comfortable experimenting with and making our first attempt at welding it. We weren't sure if this block was savable, so we felt that this was a good experiment. It was amazing that everything worked as well as it did. But it was slow and took some doing. After the initial weld, we ground it down a little bit, a little more flush. We also had to open up the passage again because I partially blocked the water passage. We also had to re-tap a lot of the holes after we got done. Here we are once again on the next crack, also not as critical. Preheating it and now welding up the crack in the block. We took it to H&H Automotive Engine Rebuilding. They're specialize in old engines, antique engines. There's all sorts of ones. The Ford Flathead being a big one, but they also do four bangers, and there was some V12s in there for Lincolns. And others. If you go there with your Cadillac Flathead V8, they'll be able to do it no problem. Here we are doing the last final steps on our engine block. Namely, they were kind enough to go ahead and put in the cam bearings because that is something we're not able to do. We don't have the specialty tool. It's rather expensive. We have a cheapy one that doesn't work very well. Next step, we went ahead and taped it off because we wanted to get our get everything pretty and neat and organized. So we taped off all of the gasketed areas and went through and shot it first with etching primer, and then after the etching primer we did red oxide primer over the etching primer. And then once that was dry, we did our final color coat, which was, as you can see here, this nice bright tangerine orange, which was an original Ford color. And it's a perfect match for, and though it doesn't say it, it's a perfect match for the color we
Now the eagle-eyed viewer out there is going to notice that yes, this is Chevy Racing Orange. It's supposed to be a red-orange hue. Turns out Ford used a very similar color on some of the Flatheads back in the day, and since this was available at the local auto shop, and we're impatient, that's what we grabbed, and that's our rationalization for running Chevy Orange on our Flathead Ford. Okay, now this is engine, if you recall, was stuck completely with a lot of water damage in this area here, and then we also had a number of cracks. Now on this side over here were a bunch of very obvious cracks, and for example right here, this is where we welded, and it's holding here as well, and right here. Now 2 cylinders had to get sleeved. This one here obviously because you can see it, but also because this crack actually went into the cylinder. Let's see if I can locate the other one real quick. I almost assume it has to be this one here. I'm not spotting it right away, but 2 cylinders had to be sleeved. Now the other thing that happened is actually this crack here we did not do, but we didn't see and was fixed by them with a by drilling and putting a dowel in it, which is pretty standard practice, how you fix cracks in blocks like this. We wanted to try the welding method, and obviously it held, it worked. We were successful at it, which, to be honest with you, was as surprising to us as anyone. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a dowel there, a dowel there, dowel there. I'm surprised I didn't dowel in between there. Over here, sorry. And we got hardened seats and all the valves for, I said 1.5 valves. Anyways, I asked, they said, I forgot. So we're gonna have to get now we got to go back and pick up the other engine, and when we do, we'll be picking up the rest of the valve train and a lot of this stuff we need to finish out the engine. However, over here we got forged H-beam rods, forged crankshafts, scat that's been balanced. These are both scat, and then we got some Ross racing pistons here, and the whole rotating assembly is balanced. We have our good Offenhauser heads we're going to put on here, and all of the bearings and rings and miscellaneous stuff all crammed in the corner. Anyways, so yeah, we were able to save this engine that we pretty much thought we were going to have to write off, and we're quite happy we're able to do that. I mean, we're dumped a ton of money. Actually, like, the machine work that was necessary to save the engine wasn't too terrible. I mean, everything's relative. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our episode. I'm happy we were able to save this block, and we're going to be able to build it. We just have to figure out the chassis we're actually going to put it in, because this is actually technically a spare block we didn't have any plans for or any needs for. Granted, when we started down this Flathead path, we only needed one engine. We ended up with three. One that's theoretically easily buildable, another one that was mostly built but needed some finishing parts, and a seized lump. Interesting that we're going to get the seized lump together possibly before the one that was already assembled and just needed a few finishing details. Anyways, we're going to do the assembly in another video, but I hope you enjoyed the background and the journey so far that we showed on this one. And remember, we are professionals, not at this, so come along for the adventure, and we'll be seeing you really soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit the notification bell. Till next time, ciao.